The goal of this podcast is to help you break in and thrive in advertising. And we do that every single week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. And welcome to Indie Week on the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast. This week, we're diving deep in the world of independent agencies, the leaders, the founders, and the people who are shaping the future of advertising on their own terms. We know mergers are shaking up the industry, and now indie shops are standing out in bold, new ways. Now is the perfect time to explore what makes these agencies so unique. Today's episode sets the stage with Nora DiNuzzo and Eric Brown, co-founders of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the growth consultancy dedicated to helping indie agencies scale and succeed. We're also joined by Doug Zanger, founder of Indie Agency News, the go-to platform for independent agency visibility. Together, they'll break down what's happening in the indie space, why now is the perfect time to stand out, and what's in store the rest of this week, where we're debuting Indie Week, and we're releasing an episode every single day featuring top independent agency leaders. Now, on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Geno Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. Indie Week on the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast is presented by Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the growth consultancy that's as invested in your agency's success as you are. So you built something great. You poured your blood, sweat, and tears into your agency. But if growth has stalled, if the industry feels like it's moving faster than you can adapt, it's time for a growth partner who's ready to go all in with you. Blood, Sweat, and Tears helps independent agencies stabilize, sustain, scale, or even sell with radical honesty, a custom strategy, and a team that actually has skin in the game. Co-founded by agency growth vets Nora DiNuzzo and Eric Brown, they know what it takes to break through. If you're feeling stuck, frustrated, or ready to level it up, visit www.bloodsweatandtears.co. Now on with the show.
So I get these. I'm at that age where I get the wayward eyebrow hair.
Oh, the wizard eyebrow hair. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like.
I mean, I wish I can get my mustache. I was saying like Eric's.
I can't grow a beard. I mean, it looks like grows in crop circles, and it just looks weird.
What about the mustache? Though? It looks like you've got a spot there for the stash.
Me? Nah,
yeah.
I can't pull. I mean. I would look like I cannot pull it off. Like the only thing I've got is this lid, right? So I've got a nice
beautiful
lid.
locks.
Yeah. So it's like cool. I got good salad, but I can't grow facial hair, and that makes me jealous because it's just people with the nice mustaches or like those nice beards. I cannot pull that off.
Yeah, the grass is always greener, man.
Yeah, I know.
I have nothing to contribute to the facial hair conversation. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Love it. Shall we get into it, everybody? I'm excited to talk with you all today. We got some amazing folks on this show. This is our trailer for our Independent Agency Week, Indie Agency Week on the Breaking Entering podcast. We've got Doug Zanger, we got Nora DiNuzzo, and we got Eric Brown here to kick things off. Really simple. This week is going to be packed with an episode every single day for the next 5 days, covering independent agency founders, leaders, talk about their perspectives as running an independent agency. We got mergers like crazy going on. I know, Zanger, you're all over that too with your news source. So it's a really good time to talk about the contrast between large holding companies and these independent agencies. So where should we kick things off? A quick little introduction from you all. Who do we want to lead off? Nora, perhaps? Ladies first.
Oh, well, thank you, Geno. I'm Nora DiNuzzo, co-founder with Eric of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. We are a growth consultancy for agencies. So if you know the search consultant community, I've been jokingly, as people are asking, what's the difference between you guys and search consultants? Well, they're the buyer's agent. We're the seller's agent. We only work with agencies. We work with agencies to help them treat themselves like a brand would, give themselves the attention that they're giving their clients, and really make sure that they're well positioned to win and grow. And we almost exclusively work with indies. To steal or borrow a phrase from Doug, I'm Indie AF. I've always worked for independent agencies for 15 years. And then last 3 years, I split off to consult. And Eric and I have been together as a duo for the last 18 months. It's been a lot of fun. We've been working with a lot of indie agencies and just getting to know so many more throughout the country. It's like I feel like I know them all, and then I meet more, which I love to see that. So I'll kick it over to my partner Eric to kind of round out the BS&T side.
Yep. So as Nora said, co-founder and CEO of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And Nora and I have known each other for years prior to starting Blood, Sweat, and Tears. We both have agency backgrounds, and we both just really love agencies, but we consistently saw struggle for agencies, oftentimes independent agencies with kind of stability. And oftentimes that's associated with growth. And oftentimes when agency owners are thinking about growth, they're thinking about net new. But what Nora and I knew was there's a lot more that goes into it. And when we think about growth for agency, we're really thinking more about enterprise value and value optimization. And we talk a lot about the factors and the levers that go into that. We think about net new is always going to be a component of it. There's pipeline solves a lot of problems, but it doesn't solve all problems. And so we have to think about retention. We have to think about organic growth. And then the layer below all of that is profitability. And we see so many agencies that are struggling with various components of both. And the way that we really optimize value for an agency is by evaluating each of those levers and moving the levers according to where the agency is and what they want to achieve and the resources that they have to do that. And so it's really a very nuanced approach to growth. And it's not something that we can just slap a process on or just say, do this one thing or do these couple of things, because while those concepts are consistent, the way that we approach them is very unique to every single agency. And we just wanted to be different in that manner. We don't want to work with hundreds of agencies. We want to work with several of the right ones that are really committed to that outcome and know that it's going to take hard work, but it can be done. Because at some point, every agency owner is going to come to the end of their day-to-day management of the firm. And, kind of joke is like death in taxes. It's going to happen. And the more that that agency owner is thinking about that transition, the better the agency is going to be today, because that means they're planning, they're putting the systems in place, they're making the right optimizations, they're thinking about their family, their future, but they're also thinking about their employees' future, their clients, and how do we make that transition as seamlessly as possible, and for the best outcomes of each of those groups. Because as we know, when major decisions are rushed, things are often missed, and the more forethought we can put into that, and it's not even necessarily about that point in time. It's about doing the things now that are going to make that situation a lot easier. But again, in the immediacy, making the agency much more efficient and far more valuable.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned that there's not, like, you can't just go to any random agency and slap an official process, a one size fits all approach. As we're going to hear, and the listeners engage in the episodes this week, they will find very clearly that every agency that we've talked to, and most agencies, operate very differently. Their niches, their reasons to being, their types of clients that they're looking for, all of it varies. So that makes a lot of sense that you guys want to keep it nice and clean and tailored to each of your clients that you're working with. Zanger, how about you, dog?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hi.
yeah. What about you? What do you got going on? I know you've been on the show. You might be the Hall of Famer now. The most
five-timer. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. 3? I think. What do you at? This is your 3rd appearance?
I guess. Yeah, I think it is.
You're welcome anytime.
Oh, God help you. Doug Zanger, aka Uncle Advertising. I'm nudged up in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Been here for 33 years, proudly. The indie sort of, this is like the indie mecca in a way, especially for this industry. I founded a platform called Indie Agency News a little over a year ago. It is ostensibly a media platform that is built to raise the visibility for independent agencies. The brief on this is to build the global home for independent agencies. There's never been a clearly defined home for indies. There are a lot of great programs. There are a lot of great publications. You've got Little Black Book. You've got what Ad Age has done forever, and we absolutely love that. Our whole thing is we don't care where you get visibility as long as you get it. The mission is to serve indies and the brilliant people behind them. And our goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers. And so ostensibly what we're creating is a layered approach that includes media, that includes consulting. Members get 15-minute consulting sprints on their visibility, or really anything. We don't care. And again, that's our whole thing is if you want to be an Ad Age, cool. Let's see what your pitch is. Let's see if we can help you tweak it a little bit. If you have an awards entry you need to get going, yeah, absolutely. And we're batting about 900 on that right now for our members, which is good. So we helped nudge some big awards, which is cool. And we do our own awards. We'll go into that later. But again, visibility for indies is really, really important. Also, again, having this home. And that's really the important thing is we want our members to feel as though they do have a home and they can come to us with anything. And my formers are editor at Adweek, editor at The Drum, and going back to when I first came to Oregon, I was in radio for 15 years. So Indie Agency News is more broadcast. We focus more on video, especially live stream. And we're working on more live in-person experiences. We were at the Own It conference recently and did live radio there. So music and talk. So we're trying to create a new place, a new type of modern media that brings together what people are used to with the trade media, but adding some of these other layers to it, like the consulting piece of it. We just launched a new biz dev matchmaking piece called Indie Agency Connect. So what we're trying to do is be responsive to our members, be responsive to the industry, and give them something where we can serve them.
I love it. I love it. So you're doing it all. It's like a home for independent agencies and I know you from your experience, on the comms side. And I've had conversations with you when I was a comms professional PR at Havas Chicago. I called you up, like, how do I manage an awards budget? Or how do I get, featured in Ad Age?
You don't. No, I'm kidding.
That's funny. But now I can see that you're kind of dabbling into the media side of things and also like the radio, the live shows, and also some little growth help as well. So there's some similarities here, but some clear lanes of ownership, but all brought together by helping independent agencies like thrive in this marketplace, because it is competitive.
Right.
14 to 15,000 agencies in the United States, I believe. That's a number everybody throws around. And there's more mergers and
like it does. Yeah. And one of the things that sparked this too is when I was at Adweek and at The Drum, I would talk to marketers and CMOs all the time, and they'd say, hey, what's an agency you're tapped in? What's an agency I need to know about? And I'd start rattling off all these Portland and Seattle agencies. And in building this too, and talking to marketers, Indie Agency Connect in particular, we have 200 agency members now. This time last year, we had about 40. So we've been growing, which has been great. But marketers have been saying, oh, I had no idea most of these agencies existed. So that was partly, again, the visibility piece through storytelling, different lanes that our members can do that, especially Meet an Indie Agency, which is our signature piece. It's an agency overview. And really, that's one half of a chemistry session. We want marketers to look at that and go, you know what? I like the way they think. And in fact, our first Indie Agency Connect, the short list we sent over, the reason that it tipped was the member had done their Meet an Indie Agency. So it was very clear what their point of view was, what their position was. And the marketer said, yeah, I really like the way they think. So it's taking some of those friction points away so that you can move quicker. And we're mainly focused on project. So we're not really looking at or key creative partnerships, not AOR.
Gotcha. And with Nora and Eric, we came in contact because of Carson and Doyle, a mutual connection that I believe you guys work with. And
the kids. Love the kids.
They did our rebrand.
They're awesome. Yeah, we love them.
They are responsible for our rebrand, and so great. But
Yeah, they're fantastic. We love working with Charlie and Thomas, and I think that's what's been great just in the few months that Eric and I have been doing this together. We've worked with those guys are a Gen Z owned agency. We've worked with BIPOC owned agencies, women owned agencies, LGBTQ owned agencies. Like so much diversity of thought, so much diversity of experience represented in the indie community. And to your point, Zanger, the visibility is really key.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was asked at Own It, because I was speaking on a panel there, so I got to see Doug there, but somebody asked about like the awkwardness of like selling yourself, or some people don't like to do the sales role if that's not really like why they built their agency. Like so many indie agencies are spin-offs of bigger shops where a creative leaves, or a creative duo leaves, or a strategist leaves, or a great account
Or gets laid off.
leaves. And like we often ask founders we work with, like, do you want to work on the business or in the business? Because that's really important for us to understand, like, what do they want to spend their time doing? And if they're the type of founder that wants to work in the business with the clients and with the teams, then it can be a little bit of an uphill battle getting them to think about how to like hype and sell themselves. But I said, in response to a question I got, I was like, well, what's more awkward, selling yourself or going out of business? Like we have a phrase we use, and which is best kept secrets go out of business. So as an indie, especially, it is your job not to be a best kept secret. Don't let your clients keep you a best kept secret. Don't let yourself keep yourself a best kept secret.
And that's what we help. That's where we nudge. That's the biggest thing, is making sure that again, that they have a home, but also that they're in a productive place where they can tell their story. And I think that the trades have worked a certain way for decades. We're doing something very different, and we want our members to feel safe. We want them to feel as though they can experiment. They can try some things that maybe they wouldn't necessarily try with a Fast Company interview or a Wall Street Journal interview. So, and rule number one for everybody, and Nora and Eric have unfortunately experienced this. Rule number one for all of it is have fun, because I think we have forgotten that this can be a very fun industry. Yeah, it's hard. Of course it is. And there are days where you just think, what am I doing? I go through that. Everybody goes through that. But at when that day finishes and you realize that you accomplished something for somebody, and that on our end that you served your membership, that's a huge reason to not just keep going, but to figure out how you can do even better work for your members.
I totally agree with you on the fun point, Doug. I mean, that's one thing I've been talking to people about, is like, we're trying to make growth fun, and growth is not always fun, right? But like, if you allow it to just be a slog, it's going to be a slog forever. It's going to be an unfun slog. And like, instead, like, can you find a way to get yourself re-energized around like some aspect of growth that you really enjoy? And I think a lot of times we fall into the trap of like, oh, I see someone else having success with this tactic, like blogging or podcasting or whatever it might be. And then you sort of like do that thing, which I say, stop shooting all over yourself. Like you shouldn't have to do anything you're not good at. Like if you don't like talking on stage, you shouldn't do a TED Talk. And if you don't like writing, then you shouldn't blog. And it seems simple when you say it that way, but like really think about like you as founder or your leadership team, like what do y'all like to do? What are you good at? What do people like give you credit for being amazing at? And like lean in and do those things, because if you're doing things you're uncomfortable doing, you're just going to look awkward, sound awkward, feel awkward, and it's not going to represent you the best that you are. So like, even from a tactical perspective, like really trying to find those tactics that speak to you and feel like frictionless. Like instead of hitting your head against a brick wall, it feels smooth. It feels easy. It feels like something you want to do, because otherwise just growth is going to be an unfun slog. It's going to be exhausting. And that's why we wrote the line, you've worked too hard for it to be this hard. That's our positioning line, because we know growth is hard. Like we lived it every day in agencies for 15 years. Like we know how hard it is for founders, but sometimes we make it hard on ourselves by choosing the wrong things to do, or the wrong things to focus our energies on, or just allowing ourselves to have like a mental mindset that this is unfun and this just sort of like exhausting slog.
I hear you. I asked every episode, this question, and I want to get your takes on this, and maybe because you've experienced large, small, medium, everything in between, but what do you think is the real superpower of being independent today in 2025? And whoever wants to take it, feel free.
Let Eric
But
start.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was looking at
Eric's
Eric.
right.
Yeah.
We've been blah blah blah.
I think that the superpower for indies is the autonomy they have to not be confined to. It can be a blessing and a curse. So they're not confined, and they can bring in their ideas. They can bring in their talent. They can. They have the honestly. They've got more. I guess you would call it, they don't have the overhead, they're not tied in. They've got better, like flexibility in their pricing. They can do the things, the projects the way that they need to do them with the resources that are required. They have more ability to have more contractor roles and that type of thing that allow just for them to execute on the brief without having to inject all of this inflated pricing. And I think that allows for better alignment between the brand, the marketer, their goals, and the expertise of the agency to come in and execute them.
Love. Nora, did you want to add on to that?
This is about indie agency superpowers, right?
Yes,
Like what their
yes.
superpowers are. I mean, honestly, I think it's the people. I mean, I think that entrepreneurial, really ultra creative people either are attracted to starting their own business or working for those types of charismatic leaders and founders. Like I was never attracted to working in the holding company space because I never saw any of those charismatic people like I wanted to work for and with, like I found as a business developer, it was much more fun to help people build their personal business and their personal vision of what a company could be. And so that's why I was always attracted to working with indie founders inside the four walls as a business developer. Now still outside those four walls, like I love the stories of like, why did you start your own agency? And like that's the question I'm always asking too as a strategist is like, what's your why? Like, what made you do this? And I think that's something that if brands can get over some of their preconceived notions of the past of how media was bought and it was about like cloud and it was about, who has the buying power. Like buying power is not a thing anymore. Like straight up, like programmatic media democratized that. So like you don't need to use a big agency if you don't want to. And in fact, a lot of brain drain has happened at the bigger agencies. So look at indies because you've got some really, really creative talent there that is doing their thing their way. And the reason they probably left some of those bigger shops is because like me, they were like blockaded from doing the things in the way that they saw would be best and most effective for not only, for clients and brand marketers, but for their own teams. So I think, indies are creating the vision of the future. And that's why you should be looking at indies if you're a brand.
I would say that to the media point, I've got to, so we're very lucky. We have Noble People, Hunter Blue, Left Hand Agency. I know I'm missing a couple more media agencies. And then we have agencies like Zambezi with scale that has, great media practice. I mean, you can go through a lot of our members and you can see like serious media chops and the beauty of it being that it is agnostic, which is good. I would say the superpower, if we're gonna put it into one place, would be ambition. And what I mean by that is creative ambition is huge at independent agencies. And I'm not saying that holdcos don't do great creative. They do. But I think that you will see a lot more ambition and I think a willingness to stretch because, and again, holding companies, they are publicly traded. They have shareholder primacy is a thing. So sure, they're saying that, yeah, they take care of their clients just fine, but always that's lingering over the top of it is going to be shareholder primacy and performance. Whereas with an independent agency, founders and senior people will say, yeah, we simply, for us to succeed, we need our clients we need our clients to succeed far beyond their wildest dreams. And so I think that you do end up getting, first of all, that point of view is ambitious, but then I think that it translates into creative ambition, strategic ambition, media ambition. And so I think that for a brand that's looking to take a look at what that feels like, carve off a little piece of carve off a little piece. The best example of that is probably Old Spice, because if we remember, that was a distressed property, and then Wyden turned it into something magical. So there's track record for that, and there are a lot of great agencies, a lot of indies popping up, and that ambition piece is huge.
Love it. So we will explore that further on, and all these reasons why these separate independent agencies, what they view as their superpowers. We interviewed on Monday. You're going to hear from Verb and Shannon Jones. The ladies at Foul Mouth Creative were absolutely so fun, with Jordan Hughes and Rachel Carlson. And the third founder couldn't make it, but we give her some love in that recording as well. We have a panel, 2 guests here. So the first time we've ever done this with 2 different agencies, with Planet Propaganda and Carson and Doyle. Planet Propaganda, older agency, been around for around 30 years, I believe. And Dana Lytle has been running that shop at the helm for quite some time now. And joins them was Carson and Doyle's founder, Charlie Nuss, young Gen Z agency. Such a fun episode. And they actually kind of go back and forth and give each other advice and learn from each other. And I kind of step away. And then on Thursday, we'll be releasing Courage's episode with Joel Holtby. And then on Friday, Partyland with Matt Heath. So really interesting perspectives there. Any call outs, shout outs, some love for these people that you've worked with, stories, anything like that people should look forward to?
Well, I definitely have to give a shout out to Shannon at Verb, because she and I at dinner at Own It were jamming on something where I had a question for her. They just celebrated 7 years and their awesome rebrand I'm so impressed with. So I was asking her and Yadira, hey, something about how we want to grow with our team. And she was hyping me up, do it. So I'm all right. So I got some good energy from that. And of course, I got to shout out Dana and Charlie, 2 of our clients that we work with actively. And it's just funny when you ask me, Geno, who would be good on a panel together? I was well, Charlie and Tom are basically Dana, where Dana was 30 years ago. So it's really cool to see Dana mentoring younger people in our industry. He's actually winning a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Wisconsin Advertising Hall of Fame this month.
Very nice.
I think he's such a visionary with all the work that they've done for Jimmy John's. People don't know, talk about a best kept secret, Freaky Fast, that was them. Jimmy John Sub Above, that was them. That was Planet Propaganda. Duluth Trading Company, everything cool you've seen from Duluth for the last 15 years, that's them. So it's I love what Planet is doing and still doing, but I also just really appreciate Dana being that kind of mentor for younger people in our industry. And I know that's so important and core to what you're doing here with Breaking and Entering, Geno. So yeah, I felt they would be the perfect team.
That was a good one.
For that episode.
And Matt Heath wrote for Eastbound and Down at Partyland. It's so cool. We nerded out about that, being a copywriter and then actually going to write with Will Ferrell.
What all copywriters want to do anyway.
I know, it's so fun. And I texted my friend. He's yeah, everybody should know that he did that. They're all jealous.
Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna start dropping lines. Make them wait.
Yeah. Well, that's what we have in store this week. Thank you all so much for helping and supporting with this, and steering us to amazing guests and what you're doing for independent agencies. Our mission is to help people break in to this industry. And independent agencies, we'll talk about why they're a good route for the first job, mid-level job, your last job. So that's something that people can look forward to as well from our core listeners. But thank you all and have a great rest of your day. And we're excited to kick off this week.
Indie Week, let's go.
Thanks, Geno.
Yes, thank you all.